To me, alternate win conditions present an enormous challenge in card game design. When done correctly, an alternate win condition can fundamentally alter the way the game is played, giving both players a different and exciting way to play the game. But at worst, alternate win conditions can lead to truly degenerate gameplay. I do not mean to insinuate faulty moral character on players wishing to use these alternate win conditions, but rather that an alternate win condition strips the game of complexity. This is closer to the mathematical definition of degenerate, to be semantic. For example, when running a mill deck, the only number which matters is the number of cards in your opponent's deck. Your opponent's life points, your own life points, card advantage, and board presence are only relevant insomuch as buying time enough to mill out the opponent. This disregard for many of the tenets of the game is why I use the word degenerate. But this video is not about mill or even burn strategies, but rather the dedicated alternate win condition cards. These cards often lead to decks with binary win conditions, in which either the deck wins through the alternate win condition or it loses. And this style of play is not the most engaging experience for either player. Outside of the occasional Exodia and Final Countdown deck, alternate win conditions seldom have competitive impact. That being said, some alternate win conditions are more interactive than others. I am breaking down the list of alternate win cards into categories, based on the difficulty of the requirements to fulfill the win condition. Cards which require attacking, especially multiple attacks, are inherently more interactive, as it requires consideration of board presence, it cannot be performed on the first turn, and there exists a good number of efficient counterplay options when dealing with the battle phase. The ranking is based on the number of attacks which are needed to go through, which might function as a time gate, but this can be mitigated by cards like Twin Swords of Flashing Light Trice. Exodios, the Ultimate Forbidden Lord, requires 5 attack declarations, assuming a piece of Exodia is sent to the graveyard for each attack. Phantasm Spiral Assault, Venomanaga, the deity of poisonous snakes, and FA Winners all require 3 attacks. Phantasm Spiral Assault is a trap card, which does make it a bit slower outside of using Temple of the Kings. If your Phantasm Spiral Dragon, equipped with 3 or more Phantasm Spiral equip cards, goes on to destroy 3 of your opponent's effect monsters by battle, you win the game. This requires quite a lot of setup, and can be disrupted by not only monster removal, but also spell and trap removal, offering yet more counterplay options. Venomanaga requires 3 attacks to deal battle damage to the opponent, which means defense position monsters could be a counterplay option, since Venomanaga is pretty difficult to deal with. FA Winners requires 3 attacks of level-boosted FA monsters to inflict battle damage by attacking over an opponent's monster, as well as banishing FA field spells from the field, hand, or grave. This does time-gate the card to 3 turns, but the activation requirement is not as prohibitively restrictive as it may seem. These cards are not easy to pull off, and connecting with 3 attacks on some of these monsters might already be enough to win a game under normal circumstances. So at the moment, I think these cards are not terribly dangerous. Also in the multiple turn category, but not requiring attacking, are Final Countdown, Ghost Trick Angel of Mischief, number 88 Gimmick Puppet Leo, number C88 Gimmick Puppet Disaster Leo, and Destiny Board. These cards do not require battle, and are ordered in descending number of rounds which are required to reach the victory condition. Final Countdown theoretically takes 20 turns, but is hastened by Pyro Clock of Destiny, just about the only use for the card. Ghost Trick Angel of Mischief needs to accumulate 10 XYZ material, which, when ranking up from a Ghost Trick, usually results with it starting with 3 materials. It goes up to 4 with its own effect, and then 3 XYZ regen puts the card at a 4-turn clock. But there might be other ways to accelerate this timer. Number 88 Gimmick Puppet Leo can detach 1 XYZ material each turn to accumulate a Destiny counter, but requires the forfeit of both the battle phase and no spell or traps on your side of the field. A total of 3 Destiny counters are required to win the game, so a 3-turn clock. With no inherent protection, the challenge is keeping the puppet alive for 3 turns. The Chaos Rank-Up version number C88 Gimmick Puppet Disaster Leo has immunity to targeting, which is about the only improvement. It can detach a material to burn the opponent for 1000 damage. Then, if the opponent has 2000 or less life points, and Disaster Leo has no materials, you win the game. Which is terrible. Because you know what else can effectively deal 2000 damage without all these hoops? Super Dreadnought Rail Cannon Gustav Max. Even though this is potentially a one-turn clock, this card is pretty useless. Faster than number 88, but potentially slower than number C88, Destiny Board alongside Sentence of Doom requires 2 of your opponent's end phases. However, it can be disrupted by spell and trap removal. In addition to offering some protection for the spirit letters, Dark Sanctuary is such a strong battle deterrent in any deck. Dark Sanctuary also draws attention to the stall strategies that go along with these alternate win condition cards. And 10 turns of swift scarecrows and threatening roars are not engaging gameplay in my opinion. Now, on to single turn win conditions. Again, beginning with those which require the battle phase. Exodia the Legendary Defender requires the tribute of 5 monsters, which is a barrier that gets lower as the game continues to get faster, and special summons continue to get easier. The Dark Fiend requirement can be fudged a bit with cards like Reproducus and Scroll of Bewitchment, but still requires a monster owned by your opponent, which is a big hurdle. Eventually, this card might get out of hand. Flying Elephant requires more involvement from your opponent, as it first needs to resist destruction from an opponent's card, then has to connect with a direct attack. As for the direct attacking, Shooting Starbow Seal can bypass your opponent's monsters, but the card still has a critical flaw. Your opponent can remove the risk by not attempting to destroy the element, or any number of other monster disruption solutions. To lose to Flying Element, you really have to walk into it. I am putting Jackpot 7 in this category too, because the most reasonable way to use this card right now is with Dark Scorpion Burglars and a token generator like Scapegoat. This card could be a problem one day, but it might be as gimmicky as Flying Elephant. Just another card to remember and potentially watch out for. There is one more alternate win condition for this video, namely Holactai the Creator of Light. If you special summon this card by tributing Slifer the Sky Dragon, Obelisk the Tormentor, and the Winged Dragon of Ra, you win the game. Obelisk and Slifer can be special summoned from the graveyard, so the only real hurdle is getting the Winged Dragon of Ra out, requiring 3 monsters on the field for a tribute summon. The summon of Holactai cannot be negated, so the only way to really disrupt this win condition is to get rid of Slifer or Ra, as Obelisk has some inherent protection. Counterplay options are not great for this card, and although it is very difficult to pull off, this card can still be used in an FTK, which means there is even less potential counterplay. I am not sure if it will ever be consistent enough to be a problem in the competitive game, but I think the card could be banned on principle. There is, however, one more alternate win condition, one which I think is so game damaging it deserves a dedicated video.
Have you guessed me yet?